So the Golden Globes were last night, and there were some unexpected wins, let me tell you about it. So for anyone not up to date on their award season lore, the Golden Globes are less stuffy, more commercial, more populist, but also less of an accolade than the Oscars. But they are an important preliminary for those of us who enjoy the game of predicting the Oscars. It's also a night where people can get on stage, show themselves, and give what is essentially a rehearsal dinner for the speech that they would give if they won an Oscar. But for the last few years, the Globes have been showing a different side in what they choose to go out for. They've been voting for more controversial films, more international films, less crowd-pleasing choices. And we can see that last night reflected in the many wins of Emilia Perez. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, Emilia Perez is a Spanish-language musical about a transgender Mexican cartel boss. So it's very ambitious as a film. It takes on a lot, and it executes it all very confidently. It was always going to do well in award season, but I don't think anyone expected it to do as well as it did with the Globes. I don't think that was unpredictable, though. What we've seen in the last few years for the Golden Globes and other awards bodies is a voting body that is, on the whole, more embarrassed about the straight white maleness of their histories, especially the Oscars. And so they tend to go out for diverse films like this a little more. And Emilia Perez is very diverse. You can use it to spearhead almost anything. It covers feminism, transgender visibility, covers Mexican politics. Really, it can be used to mean anything. And despite the fact that most of the voting body of the Academy are still straight white men, they feel good about themselves and they feel like allies when they vote for films like this. So it will do well at the Oscars, but probably not as well as it did here. I think the biggest upset of the evening, though, was Demi Moore winning for The Substance. Academy voters famously hate horror. They will not go out for horror movies or the people in them. But The Substance made such a huge impact last year that there's been this question hanging over Oscar predictors of, is The Substance happening? And after last night, it looks like probably. The biggest takeaway from that, though, is actually not about The Substance itself. It's probably about Anora, because the only other competition in that category really is Mikey Madison. Anora is in a precarious circumstance. People have been predicting it as the frontrunner for Best Picture at the Oscars for a while now, but it is sort of tethered to the Best Actress category, because in order to win Best Picture, you sort of need a few big ones to go along with it. Best Actress was one of the major shots of Anora. Mikey Madison's name is literally above the film title on the poster. But if Demi Moore is going to win Best Actress, then Anora isn't, which means it may no longer be the front runner for Best Picture, which clears up a lot of space, but no one really knows what to fill that space with yet. And don't get me wrong, Mikey Madison is amazing in Anora, and you can watch her in interviews and see how different she is as a person, and it's a great performance. But Demi Moore does have a much better career narrative. She's had a 45-year career, and a couple of years ago we had the Renaissance, where Brendan Fraser came back and he won an Oscar for The Whale, which was a big transformative performance. Demi Moore has a similar thing. She has been told by producers that she was a popcorn actress, as she said in her speech last night. And she was making it very clear to everyone that if they vote for her as the Oscars, they will be giving her her own renaissance, her own comeback, and the career narrative usually never fails. There were a couple of unsurprising wins in the acting categories then. Kieran Culkin has been pretty much a lock for Best Supporting Actor since A Real Pain came out, and if you've seen it, you know exactly why. He carries the whole thing on his back. I'm not mad. I'm a Roman Roy apologist, so he's winning an Oscar. Best Supporting Actress was Zoe Saldana, who's probably going to win again in the Oscars. The competition there is Ariana Grande, who does have a good narrative, but there's a feeling that Wicked is this year's Barbie, in that it made a big splash when it came out, and that everyone is going to be mad when it inevitably gets very few wins and very few nominations. And finally, the Best Actors. Adrian Brody won Drama Actor for The Brutalist. Fairly unsurprising, but his only competition there is Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. They probably will be duking it out again on Oscars night, because the Oscars do love a transformative biopic performance, like your Freddie Mercury's, your Elvis's, your Johnny Cash's. But The Brutalist is one of the front runners for Best Picture, and apparently Adrian Brody is incredible in it. so it will be a tight race. Then Sebastian Stan won Best Comedy Actor for A Different Man, which I think no one was predicting. But he was double nominated for that and The Apprentice. So it's very possible that people sort of transferred their vote for The Apprentice onto him in A Different Man. And so he sort of doubled up there. There were just a couple extra surprises. Flow beat out The Wild Robot for Best Animated Feature, which was very cool because it's made in Blender and it only cost $2 million as opposed to the big studio film that is The Wild Robot. So it's an underdog story like Godzilla Minus One last year. And then Challengers and Conclave each won one award, score and screenplay respectively, which were sort of compensation prizes because they weren't going to win anything else. That is your Globes roundup. Let me know if I missed anything.